Hi, my name is David from Soul Pathways, and today I would like to talk about something that's quite in vogue these days, apparently, and that is protesting. Where I live, we've had protests. I've talked to the organizers of the protests. I've talked with them about the content of the protests, and I have to be honest, it's not something that really resonated with me, and I didn't want to participate. The whole idea of protests, you're basically resisting or rejecting the other party's position. And in this case, the other party has a heck of a lot of resources. And personally, I just don't like to see people get hurt. That's just me. I feel that there's a better way. Um, I look at what happens in a protest. It's anti this and anti that. We're going to have a march. Well, that's like a military term. We're going to have a rally. Was that like rally the troops? So to me, it's very much like the war on drugs. The war on drugs going on for many, many years, and yet we have record overdoses, record addictions. Here in Vancouver, it's off the charts. So to me, the war on drugs doesn't work. It's very negative. It's the focus is negative. You're focused on something that's negative as opposed to positive, and you want to be focused on something positive. You want to focus on the positive outcome. And so, when you're going into this position of protesting, you're resisting the other party, their position, their beliefs, and they may have a very good, genuine, well thought out, emotionally invested reason why they're doing what they're doing. And so to go against that is to go against their beliefs, their truth, with your truth. And so their truth is also being protected by a number of tools that they may use. So you could say you're anti this and anti that, but look at it from the other party's position. If you then take away those tools, those things that you're anti about, what does the other party have to defend their position with? You're not pro very much. You're more anti than pro. And so, to me, this is just possibly a progression. A progression of something that goes and leads to a place where people get hurt. And we don't want to see that. I mean, we've had eons of wars and all the loss that comes with that on this planet. And we all know, we all have that experience. We've seen enough of it. It's been popularized, but it's not pretty. And if you go to an amusement park, you don't go on the same ride. If you have dinner, you don't eat the same thing every night. You don't read the same book over and over again. Sure, some people like the roller coaster, but that's the exception to the rule. So it's time now for humanity to evolve. It's time for us to come up with a better solution than just resistance and anti this and anti that, where the other party just digs in their heels more. And it creates divisiveness between the two parties, and lack of trust, and misunderstandings, and problems happen. And only maybe after a lot of people get hurt, like you see in places like the Middle East, where after throwing a bunch of explosives at each other for a while, the two sides get burnt out, and finally they sit down for the peace talks. Well, instead of going that route, why not have the peace talks right at the beginning? I mean, is that like too much to ask? Is it maybe the way that we go about it? I know I've tried here in North Vancouver, where I live, tried to deal with the representatives, the local representatives, are the people who run my province, and the federal representatives, the ones that run the nation. And they always wanted to have one-on-one meetings and never wanted to have a town hall. And I thought that was really curious, because in a town hall you can really get a sense of the vibe of the community. And that's the community that elected these people. So obviously they see it as threatening. Obviously they prefer a one-on-one. Maybe it comes from a position of fear. They're afraid of what might happen in a town hall. Sure, there are a few around elections and big events, but by and large, they're pretty rare. Maybe it's control. Want to control the dialogue. Well, control, that's just a relative of fear anyway. And so there has to be a better way to come at this. And the best way that I think is non-threatening. Personally, I can't blame the leader of our country or the leader of our province for the main reason that I could have been born that person in this life. I could be that person, I could think their thoughts, I could believe their beliefs, I could have their truths, and I could be doing exactly what they're doing right now with the idea that the outcome warrants what's happening. And so once you come from that position, and I'm not saying I have all the answers, but once you understand their perspective and once you can see their truth, I feel that you're in a better position to then have some sort of open dialogue where you open up rather than an adversarial interaction. So my desire would be to skip the whole protest, anti-this, anti-that process and just go straight to dialogues. And I don't know why we can't do that. I haven't seen a good reason why we can't just have a meeting and talk about our truths, our beliefs, our perspectives. Maybe we can get enough trust that we can talk about behaviors that are painful for both parties and ways to resolve those behaviors through some sort of change. And yes, that requires an openness. But again, doing it now would avoid a lot of hurt. And being able to bypass the more aggressive, more violent behavior would really be a wonderful step in humanity's evolution from my perspective. I came across an interesting book, a friend recommended to me by Marshall Rosenberg, called Nonviolent Communication. He was a mediator, sought to resolve conflicts, was very involved in some Palestinian-Israeli conflict resolutions, peace talks. He was an expert at getting people to observe in a non-judgmental way what the other party's doing. And then after that, talk about feelings, how what the other party's doing made the person feel, and also requests for change, for adjustments. And so to me, that is a much more collaborative way for humanity to move forward. The divisiveness, it's just going to lead to the same place that it led to before, which is both sides digging in their heels, and hopefully it doesn't escalate, but we've already seen people hurt, and we don't need any more of that on this planet. There's enough hurt already. It's time for healing, it's time for understanding, it's time to get together, and I feel we all need to work together to come up with a way that is non-threatening, that all parties can get to the table and talk about how they really feel and what they really need in a non-judgmental way, so that we can get through this and we can better ourselves as humanity, as human beings who are all one, and we all love each other. I love you.